If you have a desire to become a better version of your current self, then this podcast is for you. I share with you helpful thoughts, tips, and stories around fitness and self-improvement, which you can apply to your life today. For those of you that want to take control of your life, to learn, to grow, to become that which you desire most, I'm your host, Connor Malone, and this is the pursuit of constant improvement. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you about fitness and self-improvement and how you can use it to change your life. So fitness and self-improvement is something that's really changed the trajectory of my life. And I'm just going to be sharing with you some actionable tips, some stories, and how you can do it with yours. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about fitness to begin with. Now, in the sense of fitness, basically what I mean by that is exercise, nutrition, sleep, anything that affects your body, the way you function on a daily basis. So obviously fitness has a profound effect in our life. If you're somebody that maybe fitness is a part of your life already, or it's something you want to make a part of your life, you're going to get a lot from this episode because I'm going to give you ways in which you can implement it in your life, things that you can do to generally just make your life better with fitness. Because one thing that's super important, right, and I talk about this all the time with clients, is we have one body in our lifetime, one body in our entire lifetime. Fitness gives us the ability to change that, in the sense that we can change it to look a certain way, we can change it to feel a certain way. We have complete control over that. So I'm going to help you, give you some tips and stuff on how you can actually do that, how you can implement it into your life. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with basically how do you implement it into your life and what's it actually going to do for you. So first of all, by implementing fitness into your life, as I just said, you have complete control over your body in the sense of how it looks. If you're somebody who maybe isn't happy with the way they look, isn't happy with the way they feel, well, guess what? Fitness can change that. Literally, all you have to do is implement some form of exercise routine, some way of eating, control your sleep, some fundamental levels. As soon as you start to control them, your life can change, literally forever. Because I always have these conversations with people. It's very common that we talk about fitness and people will be like, oh, well, I went to the gym for 6 months, I done great, or I done this, I lost weight and it was really good. And my question is always like, why did you stop? Because people see fitness as like a short-term thing. Fitness should be a lifelong pursuit. Like every single person on this planet who has the ability should be exercising, should be making fitness a part of their life. And what we're going to discuss today is how you can actually do that. So if you're somebody that does it at the moment, maybe you're exercising once, twice, 3 times a week, that's great. Because generally I believe it's 30% of people, only 30% of people in the UK exercise more than 3 times per week. Now, that's probably because of a few things. One being because most people don't know how to exercise, how to include fitness in their life. They're uncomfortable with it. Just generally, they lack the knowledge on how to. They don't know the benefits that it's going to create in their life. And I've already mentioned, like, you can literally change the way you look, the way you feel. So again, if you're one of these people who generally looks at yourself in the mirror and you think you're not happy with what you see, fitness is the gateway to changing that. So it's something that you really, really should be impacting or should be implementing in your life to help impact that. Now, one thing we're going to talk about is making it part of your routine, because it's very easy to say, right, I'm going to exercise this week, I'm going to do this, but that shouldn't be a question. It should just be part of your routine. So what I do, for example, is I have non-negotiables in my life. So those are things where I don't negotiate on them. They just get put into my life. I just do them on a weekly basis. I will just go and I'll carry out, I will do them. Fitness being one of them. So I will stick to resistance training. That's my favorite type of exercise. It's the most beneficial type of exercise. And I do it 4 or 5 times a week. Now, what you need to do is look at your week. How can you plan it into your week? Like, make it something where on a Sunday, if you sit down and plan your week ahead, fitness is part of that. It's 3, 4, 5 times a week. It is part of that day. It might only be for half an hour, 40 minutes. Because one of the big misconceptions people have with fitness is that you have to be in the gym for an hour. It's utter nonsense. You don't. You could be in the gym for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If the work that you're doing is effective, then that's all you need. And it's going to literally, the benefits to your life are incredible. So I've already mentioned the routine side of things, but what exercise does as a whole, what fitness does as a whole, is it gives more purpose to our life. There's actually a really good quote that I've got here by Robert Greene, and it says, what we lack most in this modern world is a sense of a larger purpose. People go through life with no general intention, no general purpose, nothing to do with their weeks. Fitness can change that. So not only can it change the way that you look and feel, but it can help give more purpose to your actual weeks, to your life. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's something I just don't get it when people aren't implementing it in their life. As I've already said, it's usually just because they don't understand it enough. But again, that's what I'm going to clear up with you today. We're gonna talk about ways in which we can add that into your life, and make it that regular part of your routine. As I've already mentioned, it's something you can constantly pursue, particularly with resistance training, right? So if you're going into the gym and you have a set routine, a set structured program, that's something you can pursue and something you can better over time. So it's there you go. There's the purpose to your life already, but you're actually going into the gym with a meaning, with a desire to get better. So you're going in and you're looking to better the weights every single week. That makes a big difference to somebody because, as I've already mentioned, people go through life not really knowing what they're going to do next. Whereas when you have fitness involved in your life and a clear structure to it, you have something to pursue, something to get better at. So once you're going into making fitness a part of your life, it needs to have some form of structure in the sense that what are you doing? Are you resistance training 3 times a week? Are you going to classes 3 times a week? But not only what are you doing, but why are you doing it? What's the goal of your resistance training? Is it to change the way you look and feel? Great. Well, one of the things we know from building muscle is we need to be doing something called progressive overload. So that is where that you increase the reps, the sets, the weight, whatever of any given exercise for a consistent period of time. So if you bench press 60 kilos, the next week, if you do it for 10 reps, the next week you try and do it for 11. Okay, that this is the structure that's given to your life. This is the purpose given to your life. When you go into the gym and you want to get better, it's an infectious feeling. It's something that it really does. It gives you some vitality, some enthusiasm to go to the gym. Because one of the big mistakes people make with fitness is they just turn up and they go through the motions. Add purpose to it. And one way to do that is by planning it ahead, making it a clear part of your week. So, right, not only you're not somebody who says, right, fitness is a part of my life, you're somebody that resistance trains 4 times per week in order to look and feel a certain way, and they try to better these set exercises. That's just so much more purpose in your life already. But one of the other benefits I love as well as that is in terms of what you gain from that, from going consistently, is the discipline side of things. I cannot stress this enough. When people come to me, like clients, for example, they start off in the sense that they don't know what they're capable of. So, for example, they could be on a squat, going for maybe they're going for 10 reps, right? And they get to the sixth, the seventh rep, and oh my god, I can't do it anymore. But they can. That's my job is to help them understand you can do more. So fitness again can be a gateway to you realizing that you are capable of more, to realize that the strength of what you're capable of. And when you're doing that, you start to build discipline because you get really uncomfortable. There's an exercise in the gym called a leg extension, right? A leg extension is one of the worst exercises on the planet in terms of for the burn that it gives you. But see, when you're on that and you're pushing through that, you're building discipline. That carries over to all other aspects of your life. So in the sense that how it will improve your life, so we've already went over, it's going to improve the way you look and feel. It's going to give your life purpose, and it's going to improve your discipline. So we've already outlined 3 ways in which adding fitness into your life is really going to have a profound impact on it. But the better habits as well, it's like people really struggle in their life with habits because they can never stick to them. As soon as you start noticing results from resistance training, from going to whatever classes, any type of fitness, it becomes a habit that you enjoy. It becomes, again, it further implements that purpose because it's a habit that you enjoy. Because we always have, obviously, we have many habits in life. We have good habits, we have bad habits. But when it's a habit you enjoy, as soon as you enjoy a habit, it's way easier to stick to. It's like any bad habit you're trying to get rid of, make it something that you don't enjoy or make it something that's difficult to do. That's how you remove bad habits. So that's one way to remove bad habits from your life. But yeah, there's another thing as well, which I read recently, really interesting in the sense of fitness and changing the way you look and feel, right? So many people, they look at themselves in the mirror, as I've already said, they're just not happy with how they look and feel. And that carries over to your confidence. That carries over to how you carry yourself. You can clearly tell somebody's if they're happy with how they feel, if they're comfortable in their own skin. And the fact that fitness has the ability to change that is profound. And it's also one of the only things in life that's going to help us live longer, that's proven to help us live longer. But I digress from there. But one thing I was reading about recently, really, really interesting, it's a book called Influence by a guy called Robert Cialdini. And essentially what he's talking about is it's psychology based, it's human behavior based. And he's talking about the way in which people look and their attractiveness, right? And how it impacts their life. Because what they found was people that tend to be more attractive, and by attractive I mean in the sense of how other people find you. So you generally you control your weight better. You may just have a better like appearance, whereas you're more attractive. Those people got better opportunities. Now, if that's right or wrong morally, that's not the point. The point is that science backs up, human behavior backs it up. If you are more attractive, you are more confident with your body, you're going to get better opportunities in life. So, by pursuing fitness and making it part of your life, you'll become more confident in the way you look and feel. That will carry over, other people will see it. So, if you're going for a better job, if you are trying to build a relationship with somebody, you're going to have better influence on them. You're going to have more influence on them because you quite clearly take care of yourself because of your routine, because of the fitness. So yeah, it's really, it's honestly so profound. And if you found that quite interesting, the book called Influence, again, it doesn't sound morally right. Like we always talk about like, oh, shouldn't matter how somebody looks and everything like that, which may be true morally, but it's not correct human behavior wise. We do judge based on other people's appearance, whether we like it or not. We do. Whereas if you're somebody who's quite clearly has fitness as part of their routine, they control the way they look, they control the way they feel through fitness, you're going to get better opportunities. You're going to get better results. So it's just another motivator to it. Of course, we should never do something based solely on how other people will see us from doing that. But that the way that's going to make you feel, if somebody perceives you to be stronger, more confident, how does that make you feel? Because it would make me feel better when people say to me like, "Oh, like you have good posture," or they compliment your physique, how does it make you feel? It makes you feel good. So why wouldn't you want that on a regular basis? And again, that's what fitness does. That's what it can do. Um, but yeah, it's there's never really been a point in my life when I haven't had that. So for somebody, if you're somebody that doesn't have it as part of your life, I get this may sound all a bit different to you. This may not be something that you experience, but as soon as you start to exercise regularly and fitness is part of your routine, all these things I've spoke about, well, you'll start to experience them. But of course, you have to be consistent to do that. Um, so yeah, really important things there we've just covered. But what we're going to do is we're going to tie into to self-improvement in the sense that how can that change your life? Because it's completely changed my life, right? And to give you a very little bit of background, when I left school, I was not intelligent in any way, shape, or form. Not to say that I am now, but what I do have now is a clear purpose with my self-improvement. I'm in my own pursuit of constant improvement. I look to better myself every single day, physically, mentally. That is my whole. That is what my week is made up of. Bettering myself. I read, I exercise. I do so many different things to better myself. Um, and I really wish that everybody had that because honestly, the feeling it has, it just gives you so much purpose. It's by pursuing constant improvement or self improvement, you have so much purpose to your life. So if you're somebody who generally doesn't know what they're doing with their week, you get to the weekend and the only thing you have are these quick hits, for example, going out drinking. Everybody does it. Most people do it, especially if you're younger, because it makes you feel good at the time because you don't have a larger sense of purpose. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that going out and drinking is bad. By no means is it bad. But when it's the only thing you have and you have nothing else to give you purpose, it's a slippery slope and you'll figure that out very quickly. So self-improvement can be the antidote to that. It can help with so many things mentally, physically, with our life in general. So obviously self-improvement, a lot of people don't even know what that is, but as I've mentioned, it's basically bettering yourself every single day, physically, mentally, improving yourself. Now how can you do that, right? Because if you're somebody that maybe just generally you go to work, you go home, you watch TV, you go out in the weekend, whatever, that's fine if you do that. However, you might feel like you don't have much of a purpose outside of that. However, what you can do to add more purpose into your life to improve yourself on a regular basis is things like reading. Now, I was never a reader. I never enjoyed reading until I started reading things I enjoyed. So by reading regularly things that you enjoy, it has such a profound impact on your life in the sense that you learn more, you become more articulate when you're reading, when you're speaking. It gives you something to do. It gives you something to clear your mind. Like when I have a really stressful day, I can go home and I can read something I enjoy, and it just clears my mind. Um, so if you've not got something where you can go home and you can unwind, then that is real shame because what people tend to do then is they turn to things like alcohol or things like that, and that's a downward spiral from there. As soon as you come under any form of stress or anything where you need resilience, if what you turn to is alcohol or something that's going to result in a downward spiral, again you'll find out pretty quickly it's not the right place to be. Whereas by having reading, anything that you can turn to, it's a great avenue. It's something great to have. But self improvement by reading, I mean, well, everybody else talks about cold showers. We talk about meditation. We talk about fitness as part of self improvement. By having these things, what happens is you become more self aware because you learn to spend time yourself. People are incredibly scared of spending time themselves. in the sense that they think it's not a good thing. They think, oh, you're a loner if you spend time yourself. The strongest people on this planet tend to be people that are good at spending time themselves in solitude. In fact, one interesting thing from a book I read, it's called Courage Under Fire. It's from a guy who his name's James Stockdale, and what happened was he was shot. He was a Air Force pilot. I don't know if that's the right term for it. He was a pilot, right? He flew planes. That's what he'd done. And what happened was he was in the Vietnam War, and he got shot down over Vietnam. And he was a prisoner of war in Vietnam, which, if you know anything about that, not a nice place to be. And what he said once he came out of this prisoner of war camp after years, said the very worst thing they'd done to him was exiled him, put him into solitude. They left these guys in cells by themselves, and it drove them mad because it's so difficult to be yourself and spend time yourself. But once you get good at doing that, it's a superpower. And like I said, really high performers and stuff, they get good at doing that. Um, Now, one thing as well that self improvement will do is by reading more, by absorbing more knowledge, by becoming more self aware, you become better for the people around you. So, with your relationships, you become a better person to go to. If you're somebody that reads more about just anything like human behavior, how to deal with stress, things like that, when people come to you for advice, which they will, in terms of your friends, your partners, when they come to you for advice, you'll be in a position to give them good advice because everybody in this world at some point in their lives will struggle mentally, some more than others. If you, I think, imagine how powerful this would feel if you're so confident in your ability to help other people because of what you do on a daily basis. Like you read, you learn, you're more aware of everything, so you can help other people. That's an incredibly powerful thing because as humans, we're social creatures. We like helping other people, so it's an amazing feeling to feel. Now, I've already listed a load of things in sense of how could you apply this today to start your own self improvement journey. So what you could do is, so obviously you got journals, right? You've got many different types of journals. It's one that I love. It's one that people don't often talk about because it's a bit of a strange thing, right? So if you go home, I use an app, but you can type in your app, you can write on a book, on a sheet of paper, whatever. You can do a video journal. What's that going to do for you? So as I've already spoke about, it makes you more self-aware because you're talking about your emotions, you're talking about the way you feel, and again, you're able to help people around you because you understand it better. Self awareness is an incredibly powerful thing, and that's what self improvement will allow you to do. That's how it's going to improve your life. You'll just become better at dealing with your own emotions and with other people's emotions, which, as I've already said, is an incredibly powerful thing. So, journaling is something you can start today. Just write a bit about how your day's been, write about how you're feeling at the moment. If something's stressing you out, talk about it. You'll find out way more about it. Because what people do is when they're struck with problems or any adversity in their life, they just try to deal with it. They don't try to actually understand it. So we become better by understanding things, and by journaling, it allows you to do that. So a really big thing that I would recommend would be journaling. Again, you can do it many different ways. You can use an app. It doesn't need to be in a set structured basis. I'll do it every once or 2 weeks, but just talk to yourself. That's what you're doing. Explain how you're feeling right now. Talk about things that are happening at the moment in your life, and you become better at understanding yourself. Really important one there. Next one in terms of cold showers, right? People would almost call it a fad, cold showers. Now, there's a list of health benefits that come from taking cold showers, ones that can, but we're talking about here, how can it improve your life, right? How can this aspect of self improvement, how can this cold shower improve your life? One way it's improved my life is through discipline. Because if you've ever experienced a cold shower, it's a horrible feeling. Like you stand there, you just want to jump out straight away. It's not nice. However, when you learn to be intentional with your breathing and control your breathing and overcome that cold, that fight or flight response, you become stronger and more disciplined. That carries over to everything in life because people need to be disciplined in their relationships. They need to be disciplined with their emotions. They need to be disciplined at work. You need to be disciplined in the gym. If you become more disciplined in the cold, it's going to carry over. As David Goggins talks about, we build these mental calluses in our head. Like the more we repeat difficult things, the stronger we become. We already know this. So cold showers is a great way to do that. And literally all of us are lucky enough to have access to this. In fact, all of the things I talk about today, the vast majority of us listening to this will have access to it because we live in more abundance than any king has ever lived in. When you think about it, if you think about a king 100 years ago, did he have access to an iPhone? Did he access to hot and cold water on command? No, these people didn't. The things that we have access to now, nobody in history ever has. So we should be grateful, so incredibly grateful for the abundance that we have. including the things that I'm talking about. Now, when I talk about reading, people always think of reading as like, right, I need to absorb everything I've read in terms of I need to remember it. That's not the point in reading. Some things will stick, some things will not. The things that you want to stick but just don't, note them down. Go over them, repeat them. Repetition is how we remember things. How our brain creates what we call neural pathways is through repetition. So if you want to learn something, you just have to repeat it, write it down, learn it, go over it, keep talking about it, share it with others. That's a great way. That's a great thing I like to do. Is any idea that I've just learned about and I wanted to remember it, I'll share it with others. It's a great way to do it. Um, but yeah, also I almost I diverged there. Going back to the reading side of things, is I've spoke about this before. It's inspiring thoughts in terms of you could be reading a book and it happens to me all the time, and something you read just catches your attention, it inspires a thought. It could be anything in terms of what you're going to do the next day. It could be something you're going to implement in your life. It could be a memory. It could be anything. They inspire thoughts. So just reading purely to absorb knowledge is not the right thing to do. It inspires thoughts. It allows you to learn. It allows you to become a more articulate, as I spoke about before. Generally, you just become a more knowledgeable person, but a more understanding person as well. Because I read a lot about human behavior because I find it so deeply interesting. But by reading about that and reading about emotion, you become better at dealing with it yourself, and you become better at noticing others. So it carries over to all walks of life, but it does depend on what you're reading. So make sure what you're reading is something you're interested in and something that you can absorb and apply in your life. One thing as well in terms of self improvement, which I love and I don't do enough of, is walking regularly. This is something that Steve Jobs used to do all the time. If you don't know who Steve Jobs is, he was the CEO of Apple. He was the main creative behind Apple and the visionary behind Apple. And one thing he would do is he would walk all the time. If you look online at Apple's main headquarters, I believe it's in California, they have a huge garden right in the middle of it. So it's a big circle of these offices, and then they have a big garden in the middle of it. One of the main reasons for that, one of the main catalysts for them making that was Steve Jobs, because he understood the importance of walking to stimulate new ideas. Not only that, but if you feel particularly stressed, going out a walk will likely, put it this way, if you measure how you feel before going out a walk and you measure how you feel when you return, I guarantee you'll notice a huge difference. In the sense that, let's say you've got in from work, you're really stressed, something's bothering you, go out a walk. Don't take your phone. Leave your phone at home, because your phone's going to do nothing but bring more chaos into your life. Leave that at home. But go out a walk, expose yourself to nature, just spend time yourself, and the benefits you'll get from it are incredible. It has a profound impact in life. It had a profound impact on Steve Jobs' life. I notice it every time I do it. Like I said, it's something I need to do more. If you do it, just think about it. How does it affect you? It's a great tool, an absolutely amazing tool. One that's very similar to that as well is meditating, in the sense that we're practicing being alone. So that solitude that I spoke about. We tend to, as humans, we ignore thoughts that come into our head. Meditation forces us to face them, in the sense that you're sitting in a room by yourself, these thoughts come into your head. What you have to do is address it and move it out of the way. Now, eventually, you'll get to a state where you're clear minded. One way I really like, I forget who it is, but he explains, I believe it's Naval, and the way that he explains meditation is, imagine you have a phone, right? Like, imagine you're in Safari in your iPhone and you have all your tabs up and you have 50 tabs. What you're doing with meditation is you're essentially clearing all those tabs. It's all those thoughts. You're clearing those thoughts out your head and making things clear. So then you can think clearer from that. So anytime you're stressed, anytime you've got excess thoughts, learn to meditate. And one of the ways I learned to meditate was during lockdown. On Netflix, there's Headspace have a thing, it's like how to meditate, something like that. And it was amazing. It was really good. It was my first step to learning how to meditate. So I would highly recommend that if you're somebody that doesn't know how to meditate, because it's a skill. Go onto Netflix, search it in Headspace. They do a meditation thing. So another thing you can apply to your life, to really impact it, is meditation. One thing I love, and I always repeat this to people. Some people say, "What are you doing today?" Or "What are you doing tonight?" And I will say, "Studying." Right? People are like, "Oh, are you doing a uni course? What are you doing?" No, I'm not doing any course. I am just studying. I want to learn. People find it bizarre because when they leave school, they stop learning, but they stop studying. If you want to learn anything, you can't just watch well, I don't know, I'm saying that. You could just watch a TikTok, but you need to study things, in the sense that if you want to have a deep understanding of something, you need to study it. You can't just be watching clips on TikTok. So here I am talking about meditation. If you truly want to understand it, you need to study it. You need to learn it. And that's what I do with everything I want to learn. I actually study it. I'll go home, I'll use different resources. YouTube's amazing, but I'll actually take notes on it. I'll study these things. Anything I want to learn, generally throughout times in my life, I will have things I'm focusing on, whether it's business related, self improvement related. One of the big ones for me has been Stoicism, which is an ancient philosophy. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I study it. And it brings me so much fulfillment. But as I said, people leave school and they lose that. They lose that drive to study. Studying isn't just a thing we should do in formal education, it's something you should do throughout your life. So anything that makes you a wee bit inspired, something that makes you a wee bit energized, study it. Learn more about it. Fill your life with it. And it will have a profound impact on your life. So yeah. I've went over a lot of different things there. I'm going to give you three things in terms of actionable tips that you could do today to start your own self improvement journey. So you may be somebody that's already on this journey yourself. You may already be implementing some of these things. That's great. But if not, you can implement these today and you're well on your way. Because a lot of people like that. They don't like to wait. They like to straight away apply something. If you're one of those people, if you're one of those action takers, then I've got a couple of things for you. So first of all, we spoke about it. Try a cold shower. Literally just turn your shower to cold, the coldest it can go, stand in it as long as you can. Now, you may not know how to breathe, you may not know how to control your breathing at all. Just do it. Just see how it feels. Okay. And it'll be very, very difficult. That's step one. You've taken action. Because there's an incredible thing I like to talk about. I learned it recently. I seen it on Instagram. It's amazing. A very simple three-step process for learning anything and becoming better at anything. It's first to learn, which you've done in this podcast. You've learned a little bit about cold showers and why they'll impact your life. Then you need to apply it, you need to execute it, and then you need to be consistent with it. Follow that three-step process for anything, you'll become better at it. So again, take action, go in that cold shower, turn it to cold, see how you feel. If you want to become better at it, there's resources everywhere. They'll tell you how to breathe, they'll tell you how to control it, make it part of your routine. Amazing. The next one is, if you've not read in a long time, maybe you do read, start a self-improvement book. Now that title, that genre gets a little bit of criticism because everybody now writes these self-help, self-improvement books, but any book that is generally going to make you a better person is a self-improvement book. Um, doesn't need to be like a philosophical book or anything like that. Just anything that's going to allow you to learn a little bit, something that you're going to enjoy. Start reading. It's an amazing habit. Because the problem with most people is they'll start reading, but they'll read something they don't enjoy. Read something you enjoy. Start with that. Again, really actionable, something you can do just now. If you were interested in the journaling side of things, what I spoke about, I use an app called Day One. It's amazing. It's free. You can pay for like a better version of it, but literally it's a great start for journaling. It actually will tell you basically how to journal in the beginning. So I would highly recommend that. It's called Day One. Use that, start journaling. Because the thing that excites me most about journaling is the fact that in 30 years' time, I'll be able to look back and see how I felt at 24. I've been journaling since I was about 21. I'll be able to go back and see how I felt at that age. That just excites me. I love that. I go back now and I look at what I wrote a year ago and think, wow, that's what I was thinking. That was my attitude. It's an incredible thing. It's a powerful thing. But a lot of value covered in this podcast, I hope. I want to leave you with one thing though. I want to leave you with a quote. Now, I love quotes because they summarize a million words into one small thing, one small sentence. This quote is very much related to this episode, so I think you should be able to understand it. If not, I'll give you a little bit of background on it. I will interpret it for myself. Your interpretation might be different. That's the beautiful thing about quotes. Everybody interprets them differently. Um, but the quote I'm about to share with you is from a guy called Socrates, who was a Greek philosopher. And what he said was, it's a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Now take that in for a wee second. This guy wrote this over 2000 years ago, and it's still incredibly valid today. If you go through life and you're not making fitness a part of it, you're not utilizing your body, you will not see the strength and beauty of which it's capable of. People that maybe danced when they were younger, they found it so inspiring and incredible. Maybe people that done martial arts, it's an incredible fun thing to do. Our bodies are capable of amazing things, beautiful things, but also the strength side of things. If you've never been in the gym before, you've never lifted weights, you have no idea of what your body's capable of. And I don't just mean right now, I mean in 6 months from now. It's incredible what the human body can do when you just put some time and effort into adapting it. Because it's the beautiful thing about it. It adapts, it changes, and you have complete control over that. All you need to do is apply fitness, self-improvement, any of these things I've spoken about today, and you can start taking control of that. So I hope you found that valuable. Again, you can interpret that quote in any way you like. That is the way I interpret it. You may find it very similar. But yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for you listening to this episode. I really am. I truly am. I hope you found some form of value in it. If you want to thank me for whatever reason for listening to this podcast, maybe you found some value in it. I have one thing I would love for you to do. Okay. I would love for you to take any exercise, anything that I've mentioned. This could be journaling, could be cold showers, could be anything. Take one thing that you've learned from this podcast, execute it, and pursue constant improvement.